And that's why I always say, like, if you're a new hotel owner, your best bet is going to be building relationships and going very deep with the brokers in the markets you want to be in, because the brokers are the ones that have the deals. And again, it's likely not going to be LoopNet or Crexy. You can sometimes, but most likely it's going to be right time, right place. Build out your list of 100 brokers. You can't just meet 5 of them and say, hey, I'm good. Go meet 100 brokers and literally touch base with them every single 2 weeks, and you will get a lot of deal flow. Underwrite the deals, know how to use conservative underwriting, get good with using a good analyzer. And I promise you, if you go underwrite 100 deals, you will find one of them will be a good deal.
Alrighty, folks, one of the things I love to do is bring you new faces with new stories. And here we are, traveled all the way to San Diego to get this one for you. Rich Summers, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, man, I'm doing so good. Excited to be on the show, and can't wait, my man. You came all the way out from Vegas for this.
Absolutely. Came out to see you.
You're too nice to me, man.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, one of the things that my audience knows is I believe the wealth formula is very simple. Step 1, you have to create discretionary income that becomes the seeds to invest. Step 2 is you have to become elite. And why I wanted to come to see you is because you have become elite at investing in boutique hotels. And I want to talk a lot about that, but that's not where you started. You started somewhere else. So give my audience a little taste of who you were before you started, where you started this game, and then we'll definitely get into boutique hotels.
Yeah, so I grew up like most people. My mom was an immigrant from Taiwan. My dad was he grew up in Holland, and so I grew up middle class. I was taught from a young age to go to school, get good grades, go to college, and get a job. And for the most part, that's what I did. I ended up working 11 years as a government employee as an air traffic controller. And it was a great job. It was rewarding. I liked it. Loved the people that I worked with. I loved the job, the career. But I got to a point 11 years into where I woke up and I was 33 years old. I started to feel stuck. I started to ask myself, like, is this the path for me? Is this what I'm going to do the rest of my life? In that career, you do 25 years, you get a pension. And yeah, 11 years in, I was like, man, I got 14 left. But I saw what my coworkers looked like when they were, got to that age. A lot of them they didn't look healthy, and they didn't look happy. And some of them would even retire, and 2 years later, they'd be dead. Right. And so I started to question, if that was really what was the rest of my life for me. And so around this same time, I overheard a coworker in the break room in between work and air traffic. And his name was Mike. And Mike was talking about how he just closed on a fourplex in Cleveland for $200,000. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, yo, Mike, how did you buy this fourplex in Cleveland? Tell me how you did it. And he said, go read the blue book on real estate investing by Brandon Turner. And he said, go listen to this podcast. It's the Bigger Pockets podcast. So I read the book and I started just like binge listening to the podcast. I really enjoyed it. And I just became obsessed. It was like a light bulb moment. I knew nothing about business or real estate for 33 years. And I was like, man, like I just became obsessed. And literally for a 9-month span, on the way to work, during my breaks, after work, weekends, nights, all I did was study real estate investing. I listened to podcasts, I read books, and I started to gravitate towards commercial real estate. And, I really like the idea of being able to force appreciation. I like the idea of, the income approach. And it just made a lot more sense to me as far as like economies of scale and that sort of thing. And I just became obsessed. I stopped going out. I stopped going out to parties. I literally, my ex-girlfriend at the time we were living together, she didn't support it. And she was like, she didn't support it because it was taken away from our time together. And sure enough, it was. And so I ended up breaking up with her, and I literally didn't do anything for a 9-month span but study real estate and live, eat, breathe real estate. And it got to a point to where I knew it was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And 9 months into this new thing, I did what most people say not to do. I cashed out my 401k. Society tells you it's too risky. And, everyone at that time, and this is kind of a interesting thing because I think a lot of people get stuck at this point, but everyone at that time, looking back, friends, coworkers, colleagues, even my parents told me not to do it. They told me not to cash out the 401k. They told me not to invest that estate. And they told me it was too risky, but I did it anyways. And I cashed out my 401k. My first deal I bought was a 11-unit building in Cincinnati for $350,000. I put down 25%. And that was my first deal. Shortly after that, I took the rest of my 401k. This is all the money I had to my name after an 11-year career. I was living paycheck to paycheck, literally. And I took the rest of that and I put it down with Mike, the coworker in the break room, and another coworker named Sean. The three of us all cashed out our 401ks, and we went in on this 32-unit apartment building in Indianapolis. And those are my first two deals. And after that, I was out of money. And shortly after that, started a podcast. I read this book by Joe Fairless on, what was the name of the book? It was the best ever book on commercial real estate investing or apartment investing. And he said in this book, he said the best thing he did was start a podcast. And so I didn't know anything about podcasting, but I knew it would be a good thing to start a podcast. And so I told Sean and Mike, I said, let's roll this podcast out in the apartment investing space. We can start interviewing apartment investors. And so we just started interviewing apartment investors. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't even have video. And we just started asking these guests that would come on that were much smarter than us, legitimate questions that we had about apartment investing. I remember we had Grant Cardone on like episode 22, and
Wow.
I mean, we didn't even have video. I'm like, talk about a missed opportunity right there.
Right.
But anyway, so through that podcast, I think it was like one of the first 10 episodes, we met our mentors. John and Tony Azar out of the Southeast are based out of Charlotte. And they had transacted on the investment side about 8,000 apartment units. They had been in the game for quite some time. And we actually compensated them the little money that we had left to mentor us. And they never had a formal coaching program. They didn't have a community or anything like that. It was not really their thing. But we asked them, and they liked us, and they said, yeah, we'd love to help you guys. And so they literally coached us. We would meet with them like once or twice a week for quite some time. They taught us how to underwrite larger deals, how to raise private capital. And, shortly after that, we actually co-GP'd a couple deals with them that we still own today. The Arbors Townhomes in Greensboro, North Carolina, 150-unit townhome style community. That was in May of 21. And that was my first taste of what it was like, kind of taking down a bigger deal. It was a $4 million raise. And I always say, like, you shouldn't go raise money until you've done it before, unless you partner with someone that's done it before at a successful level. And so we partnered with these guys, and it went good. And then 3 months later, we took down another one with them. The Timber Creek Apartments, 145 units, also in Greensboro, North Carolina. We still own that today. And shortly after that, the market started to shift.
Yeah.
Things started to get crazy on the multifamily side. Cap rates were compressing. I remember we got 2.38% debt on one of those deals, intro, floating rate debt. But anyways, it started to get a little crazy, and deals just didn't pencil. They didn't make sense. And some of these deals would have 35, 40 offers, and we would go back to see what these things would trade for, and it'd be like $5-6 million over the pricing guidance. And the pricing guidance wouldn't even make sense. And around that same time, I had been buying some Airbnbs personally. I got into a couple no money down short-term rentals, which at the time I used Navy Federal Credit Union. And I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get in the game. And these are primary residence loans. And I lived on those properties for a little bit as a primary residence. And then later I converted them into Airbnbs. And those two deals, about two of them in San Diego, those two deals was actually what allowed me to leave my day job. I had just enough cash flow to give me the confidence to leave and go all in. So at the end of 2020, I went all in. Anyways, fast forward today, I pivoted to the boutique hotel game. We got a real estate fund. We're acquiring our sixth hotel actually this coming week down in Tulum. I'm going to put 10 hotels in this fund. Got a team and office here in San Diego. And we've been off to the races, man. I'm building a big thing. And I think my biggest takeaway looking back is all those risks are real. So put some weight on them. When everyone told me it was risky, too risky, friends, family members, coworkers, all those risks are real. So put some weight on them. But on the other side of the balance scale is another risk. And it's this: I could be 80 years old one day, laying in my bed, staring at the ceiling, kicking myself because I never fucking tried anything in life.
Exactly.
How about that risk? That's a risk too that a lot of people don't allude to.
Yeah. The risk of regret is heavy. And not a lot of people think about that. And yeah, I'm going to talk a lot about boutique hotels, but I can't forget the origin story, right? Because we all have these light bulb moments. It's funny how we have a similar story, right? You looked at your air traffic controller buddies who were doing it for a long time, staying there for the pension, and you're like, not healthy, not happy. When they get it, they die. And I had the same thing. I looked up, I was a sales guy, first, second line, and I'm like, I thought this was the goal. Let's climb the corporate ladder. You make 200, then you make 300, then you make 500. And you're like, do I want their life? The answer is no chance in hell. They're on their third marriage. They're all addicted to something. You know, they have the quality of life sucks. They're working 90 hours a week. They got to fire and hire. It's just a horrible life. But you got to have that aha moment. So when you had that aha moment, was it I'm going to replace my income? Was it I'm going to build something of substance and wealth? So was it more income oriented for you or more wealth oriented kind of at that moment?
You know, it's interesting because I took 9 months to really educate myself before I made a move. And I knew, because I listened to so many Bigger Pockets podcasts, and you know, these interviews on Bigger Pockets, like, they tell their whole story, basically from start to finish, right? And a lot of those stories were like people that were working 9 to 5s, corporate America.
I was
And
one of the first 100 episodes.
were you?
I was.
Yeah.
With
And
Josh Dorkin in the basement. Yep.
the OG days.
The OG.
I actually met Brandon Turner for the first time like a week and a half ago down in Cancun. And I told him, I was like, dude, like, you're the reason I got in the game. So it's cool to meet him. But all these episodes that I was listening to back then in 2019 were like a lot of rags to riches stories.
Yes.
And a lot of, you know, 9 to 5 corporate America type of people that had the same background as me. And all of a sudden they discover real estate investing, take a little risk, and, you know, being able to like come out the other side and build a big thing and use it as a vehicle to get out of their day job.
Yes.
And I think for me, it was the purpose. And I knew in those 9 months of educating myself that I was going to use this as a vehicle to not just get out of the day job, but to actually build a big thing. So I was very intentional the entire time. And I had purpose like from the jump.
I love that. And again, the other thing I love about this story, again, you took action, you invested in yourself, you gambled on the bet. And also you weren't stupid, because again, one of the things I've been telling my audience is there was a lot of syndicators who were frankly the ones overpaying $5, $6, $7, $8 million, getting bridge debt, IO, you know, 1 year paper. And a lot of that stuff's going to blow up, but you weren't playing in that. And kudos to you.
Well, I got lucky because John and Tony Azar, our mentors, the one thing that I got from them that was the most valuable to my career is they were very, very conservative with underwriting. And in a time where people were overpaying and crazy assumptions and money was going crazy, Tony always told me, hey, like, you have to be conservative and you have to really, with your exit cap rate assumption, every year that we hold these properties, we have to increase the exit cap rate by 25 basis points. A lot of groups might have a flat exit cap rate, or they might increase it by, 5%.
Yeah, 5 basis points. Yeah.
But he would teach us like 25 basis points a year. So if we held the asset for 5 years, we would increase the exit cap rate by 125 basis points. And he's like, dude, if the numbers don't work, we don't do the deal. And I was hungry. We were hungry to do a deal. We're like chomping at the bit. And he's like, no, if the deal doesn't pencil, we don't do the deal. There's plenty of deals out there. And it saved us because we bought those 2 deals, the Timber Creek Apartments and the Arbors Townhomes, which we still own today, on floating rate debt. At that time, all the smart money was going to these Freddie floaters. It was basically a 1% prepayment penalty. It was floating rate debt, and your intro rate was in the 2s. So on the Timber Creek Apartments, it was 2.38. On Arbors Townhomes, it was 2.78. Intro rate, interest only, and IO for 5 years. And what we didn't know that was in 2022, the rates would essentially double. And so our debt service on both of those deals with the lender required reserve essentially quadrupled.
Ouch.
But you know what saved us is we bought right. We bought right with both of those deals, and we were able to add value with both of those deals. We were able to increase the NOI enough through the renovation plan that on the Arbors, we had to refi into perm debt, and we refied into like 5.25, 5.5, but we actually were able to do a cash out of $2 million.
Wow.
And so
that's pretty rare.
we turned our investors 50% of their initial investment.
That's nice.
And then on Timber Creek Apartments, we didn't do it. We weren't able to do a cash out, but we didn't have to bring cash in.
No cash in.
And we refied into low 5s, and we didn't have to bring cash in because we bought both of those deals right. And so that was the number one thing that I learned and took away from Tony, which I now bring with me to the hotel game with underwriting. And in my hotel mastermind community, that's the one thing I preach is like, always be conservative. Always be conservative because it will save you. And the last thing I'll say is this. My 3 rules for buying real estate. And if you use these 3 rules, you can buy in any market cycle and you won't lose money. Number 1, you need to buy in a good location. We can never replace the location. Number 2, we need to buy below market value. You need to be able to get a good deal on the buy side, come in a good cost basis. And number three, you need to have a clear path to add value. By adding value, you now give yourself a cushion and a margin for error should the market adjust. And over the last 3.5 years, the market has been softening, right? And so if you can buy those and if you can abide to those three rules and you have a long-term time horizon, you can buy in any market cycle and you will not lose money.
Oh, I love that. Again, wise advice. You got to be conservative. A lot of people get caught in the hype. Again, I've been doing this over 20 years. I remember the hype cycle in 06. It's just like the hype cycle in 21, 22. A lot of people are going to get hurt. You don't get hurt if you buy conservative. Make sure you can hold it long-term because that's where wealth comes. You don't just buying it doesn't mean anything. You got to be able to keep it. So you've done all great stuff. So kudos to you and the team. Let's talk about that little, I'll call it a mini pivot where you went from buying these bigger units to these couple of Airbnbs in San Diego. What was it that kind of intrigued you by that move?
Going from the Airbnb, getting the boutique hotel game?
No, going from the multifamilies in Cincy and in North Carolina to the Airbnb.
Yeah, so I was actually doing that simultaneously.
Okay, right.
So in 2019, I bought my first 3 deals. I cashed out my 401k, and I used that money to buy the 11 units in Cincinnati and then also the 32 units in Indianapolis. And that was all I had. But I also knew that I had a strong W-2 income. I had a really good debt to income ratio. I had a good credit score. And I knew that Navy Federal Credit Union would do no money down loans on primary residences up to $1 million. And so I thought during this time, why don't I maximize that and use that too? And so I actually, during that same time, it was right before the end of the year, December of 2019, I bought that first Airbnb. Now, it's a primary residence loan. So I lived on the property as a primary residence, and later I converted it to an Airbnb. And then 5 months later, I went to Navy Federal again. And I said, I want to do a second one. And I'm gonna move to that property now.
Got it. So it was at the same time. I didn't
yeah,
catch
and
that
they told me no on that second one. And I pushed and pushed and pushed for exceptions and exceptions, and they still told me no. But I kept going at them and I kept going at them, and I got creative and I figured out a way to get the second one done. Also, no money down. And I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money at that time. I did what you mentioned you do, repair credits. I negotiated a seller to cover all my closing costs.
Sure.
This particular asset was already furnished, and it was like during COVID. It was like around Mother's Day during 2020. And they got spooked, and they said that they're going to sell the deal. And so I came in and ended up getting this one done. And that one actually cash flowed even more than the first one. And so at the end of 2020, I remember during COVID, they told me, they were like, this is the FAA. Because people weren't flying as much during 2020, they said, hey, we're going to reduce work, like basically reduced hours and reduce staffing levels. And
because you're air traffic control still at this point, right?
And so for quite some time, we were working 1 week on and 2 weeks off. It was 5 days on, 10 days off, right? 5 days on, 10 days off. And then as things progressed later in the year, it picked up again. They did 5 days on, 5 days off. And that was basically until the end of 2020. In October, they said, hey guys, at the end of the year, we're going back to full-time regular work hours. And I said, I'm not coming back. And that was when I punched out. I punched out end of 2020. And what I didn't realize, because it was scary at the time, people still told me it was too risky. They're like, dude, what are you doing? You're crazy. And I had about 80% of what I thought I needed to make it at that time. What I didn't realize was when I reallocate all those hours that I was spending in the air traffic into building my own thing, things would exponentially compound. And so things just started to compound further when I left the day job. And, fast forward today, like they couldn't pay me enough money to go back to that. I love all the people. I love the job. I still miss getting in there and like working some airplanes. I do like that hustle. I would love to go in and work a session, like a busy session. There's a certain adrenaline rush that comes with it. A lot of my old coworkers invest in me today, but they cannot pay me today to go back to that day job.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, let's talk about the reason I'm here today is because I want to talk to somebody that's doing boutique hotels. This is where I think the future is going first and foremost. Again, as an outsider, somebody who doesn't do this, we have all these baby boomers who likely built or had hotels for a long time. They don't have technology. Their kids don't want it. It kind of feels like there's a lot of assets that are ready to be revitalized.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Which means buy it right. There's a guy like you who's trying to build a brand, like become your kind of spinning image of this. But why boutique hotels?
So a handful of reasons, which I really love. You mentioned some of them. first of all, regulations are tightening in all markets across the country. We saw what happened in New York City. We saw what happened in San Francisco. We saw what happened in Los Angeles. Here in San Diego, they just slashed the supply from 16,000 short-term rentals to 5,500. And as more markets continue to regulate, this is going to bode well for boutique hotels. The other markets in the country, the hotel game in most of these bigger markets have a lot of lobbyists and they have a lot of money backing them to go to the local municipalities, the local governments to basically fight against Airbnbs being legal, right? And in all reality, these residential neighborhoods, the neighbors don't like them. I own 4 Airbnbs today. One of them is in Scottsdale, and those neighbors do not like that property. It's a luxury short-term rental. It houses 30 guests, and we've had some big-name guests come stay there. They hate that property. They put up signs that say hotel, or it's homes, not hotels in the neighborhood. They've featured that property on Fox 10 channel news.
Ouch.
And so the truth is the neighbors don't like them.
Yeah.
The hotels don't like them. The local governments don't like them. And so, in 2022, I was like, yo, they're going away at some point. And since I said that, what I said is panning out. It's playing true. The other big thing is this. We have 40 million retiring baby boomers between now and the next 7 years. They're calling this the greatest transfer of wealth in American history.
Amen.
It's estimated that 25% of the hotels out there are owned by these retiring boomers.
Wow, 25%.
Yeah, 25% of the hotels that are valued under $10 million.
Okay. Wow.
Yep. Are owned by these retiring boomers. A lot of their properties are tired. They haven't been renovated in decades. They're not using any tech. A lot of them aren't even on these OTAs. We bought one to where we bought it from mom and pop owner. This is the only piece of real estate they ever owned. They'd owned it for 18 years. They weren't even using the OTA platforms, which is like hotels.com, booking.com, Expedia. They weren't on Airbnb. They weren't using the marketing channels. They just had a direct booking site. No Instagram, no technology. They weren't using AI. And so we bought this deal. It was a small 10-room boutique hotel up in Northern California called Black Sands Inn. We bought it, and we didn't start the rental for a few months.
Right.
And all we did was turn on the OTA channels, which is free, by the way.
Yeah, free.
And the revenue doubled overnight.
Wow.
Like, that's all we did.
That easy.
And so
wow.
All these folks are retiring right now. And then I think there's 8 million Airbnb listings in the world right now. And so all those Airbnb investors, the next natural progression for them is to get in the boutique hotel game. And so as Airbnb goes away, they're all looking to get in the boutique hotel game. When I go speak at these conferences around the country, sometimes I'll go, I haven't smoked a whole lot this year. I've been saying no to that stuff, but sometimes I'll go speak at these Airbnb conferences, and hands down, the most popular panel at all these short-term rental conferences is the boutique hotel panel. And every other person I speak to at these events is like, yo, Rich, I'm investing in Airbnbs right now. I'm doing the short-term rental game, but I cannot wait to do my first boutique hotel. So I believe, and I'm speculating, of course, always willing to be wrong, but I believe in the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years time, it's going to be the next big thing. So those are some of the few reasons I like the hotel game.
I love it. Well, let's do some definitions, because again, sometimes we get confused with words. Define boutique hotel.
Yeah, good question. A boutique hotel, by definition, is simply less than 100 rooms.
Okay, so 100.
And independent, non-flagged. It's going to be a non-branded hotel. So it's not going to be a Marriott. It's not going to be a Hampton Inn. It's not going to be a Ramada Inn. It's going to be independently operated. For us, we define it more as 50 rooms and under. And so really that's our buy box, 50 rooms and under, independent, non-flagged. So we have our own brand, and it's independent. Summers Collection is what we
I like
run.
it. Summers Collection. Okay.
And, big picture, I'm going to put all these hotels under Summers Collection, but they're all individually branded. So they all have their own direct booking website. They all have their own brand, their own Instagram handle. And so when we go to exit, 10 years down the road, 8 years down the road, whenever it might be, we have a couple exit strategies. One, we can sell them individually to individual buyers one at a time, but also another exit strategy, which is the more fruitful one, is we can take all 10 hotels in fund one and we can exit as a portfolio sale. And by doing that, we can now attract more institutional capital. And some of these larger groups they're not interested in these small hotels individually, but as a portfolio 10, all cash flowing, stabilized, they're able to pay a lower cap rate at the exit and a higher cost per door which is going to be a more fruitful exit for us. So we have 2 exit strategies for that reason. Hey guys, if you're looking to get into real estate investing, but you're like, hey, I don't have the time, but you want to participate in the passive income, the tax benefits, and the wealth building, my company, Summers Capital, partners with limited partners, people like yourself, and we go out and buy boutique hotels. We have a fund where we currently own 5 hotels, and we currently have a wait list for investors to participate with us. If you want to learn more to see if this is a fit for you, you can go to summerscapital.com/invest to inquire and get on our wait list and be notified next time we have an opportunity. Again, summerscapital.com/invest. Now back to the show.
Very, very cool. So let's talk about finding them first. So where are you just going on LoopNet and Crexy? You doing any direct marketing? You have VAs making phone calls? What are we doing to find deals?
Yeah, so the number one thing you want to do is you want to get very clear on your search criteria. So what markets do you want to be in?
Yep.
The number one thing that we look at is, does this market have tight short-term rental regulations?
Okay.
I talked about the luxury rental that I own in Scottsdale.
What's an example of a market that has the tightest? Is it New York City the tightest, or San Diego? What's the tightest market?
New York City is very tight, but I wouldn't suggest that market because there's a lot of hotels in that market.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
The markets that are going to do best have tight Airbnb regs, a lot of travel demand in good locations that people want to travel to. So like waterfront or near like a national park, an area that is going to encourage a lot of tourism, but good supply demand fundamentals. There might only be 5 hotels in that area,
Got it.
7 hotels in that area, and a lot of them are tired, mom and pop ran. And so if you come in, do a nice reno and really provide a good quality of service, you can really command your own rates in that market. Now, New York City, yeah, tight Airbnb regs, but thousands and thousands of hotels. And so you can do a nice design, a nice renovation, but your rates are still going to be tied to the comps, right? And so get clear on your market selection. Airbnb regs are important. That's the first thing we'll look at, right? I own a luxury rental in Scottsdale. It does very well, but there's 6,000 Airbnbs in the city of Scottsdale alone. I don't want to compete with those as a hotel operator. And then from there, you want to really network with the key brokers. The brokers are the gatekeepers of these deals. The truth is 96% of deals in the commercial real estate space are transacted through a broker, right? So first start with the brokers. And doesn't mean that it's going to be a deal on LoopNet or Crexy, but often a lot of the deals with these brokers come through a relationship. So one, they got to trust you. Number 2, you got to be able to speak the lingo. If they don't trust you and they're not confident in your ability to perform, they're not going to bring you the best deals, because at the end of the day, they spent 10 years, 20 years, sometimes 30 years building relationships with the sellers and the owners in those markets. And so when they finally get a listing, why are they going to bring it to someone that they don't trust can perform, right? And so they have to trust you. That's why it's important to leverage, credibility of others that have done it before, get into the right rooms. And if they trust you, you build the right relationships with them. You got to become their friends. You got to go visit these markets, go walk the properties with them, take them out to lunch, take them out to dinner, and really be in their ears every couple of weeks, right? And I think a lot of these deals that you're going to find through a broker, right time, right place, checking in with a broker on a Monday morning, give them a ring. Hey, Mike, just checking in. Was curious if you might have any deals in your pipeline that might fit our criteria. Again, this is what we're looking for. What are the chances you might have something? Hey, actually working on a deal right now.
Yeah.
Seller's interested in selling. I just got the financials. I haven't had a chance to market it yet. Let me send it over to you. Let me know what you think. And now you have first look at an opportunity that no one else has seen, right? And so that's where a lot of stuff's going to come from as far as like broker relationships, as if you're a new hotel operator. Once you get in the game, now you're going to have access to other owners, right? Because if you own a hotel in a market that has 7, 8 other hotels, these other hotel owners are going to get to know you. And now you got a personal relationship with them. And when they're ready to sell, a lot of these owners are in the markets we're in, a lot of these other neighboring owners are old. And they've all come to me and said, hey, like at some point we're going to look to exit and let's have a conversation. So you'll have more access to that kind of stuff once you're an owner. Also, I think another good avenue is building key relationships with a lot of bridge lenders. A lot of these bridge lenders will lend on hotels and, a lot of the markets across the country, all 50 states. And so when they all have borrowers that, have deals that go bad. And when these deals go bad, you want to be the first person they hit up, right? And so becoming friends with these bridge lenders, we bought one of our deals, 40 rooms up in Lake Chelan, Washington. Not, a little bit outside of our buy box, but a deal that's too good to pass up. waterfront deal right on the lake. And 2021 built 40 rooms, and they came to us November of 2023, and they said, "Yo, Rich, we just took back this asset. We got to get it off our books by the end of the year. We think you guys would be the perfect operator for this deal. We'd love to sell it to you guys at a discount, 0% financing for the first 6 months," right? Because they're essentially your partner. They did a 2-year note, and they could sell it to us for a discount. So we ended up closing December 23, about 120 a door, right? To give you an idea where the comps trade in that market, stabilized, older, tired boutique hotels in that market trade in the 240, 250 range door.
Oh, wow.
So we got in essentially new construction, 120 a door, right on the water. Didn't need to do much. We enhanced the property, we rebranded it, new signage, pickleball court, and we had a couple game rooms, child friendly, a lot of like wineries in the area, but we didn't do much. And we'll refi that deal later this year, and we'll refi them out. And it last appraised in 21 for 7.5. We acquired it in December of 23 for 4.87 after the seller credit, with 0% intro financing for the first 6 months. And so the other avenue that's good is these lenders. But I will say this: if you're not a hotel owner, these bridge lenders are probably not going to want to do business with you, because they want to give it to an operator that has done it before.
Yeah.
And so that's why
they don't want to take it back twice.
Yeah. And that's why I always say, like, if you're a new hotel owner, your best bet is going to be building relationships and going very deep with the brokers in the markets you want to be in, because the brokers are the ones that have the deals. And again, it's likely not going to be LoopNet or Crexy. You can sometimes, but most likely it's going to be right time, right place. Build out your list of 100 brokers. You can't just meet 5 of them and say, "Hey, I'm good." Go meet 100 brokers and literally touch base with them every single 2 weeks, and you will get a lot of deal flow. Underwrite the deals, know how to use conservative underwriting, get good with using a good analyzer. And I promise you, if you go underwrite 100 deals, you will find one of them will be a good deal.
Love that. Love that. Again, do the work, folks. Do the work. So let's kind of paint some numbers for folks. So you talked about a deal you bought for 120 a door, again, with newer construction. So let's talk about some of the older stuff you bought. What I'm trying to compare price per door versus, upgrades, because a lot of these are tired. So you're remodeling them. Just trying to get a feel, right? If you spend 100 per door, are you upgrading 20K a door? What's the kind of purchase price per door versus repairs? Or
it really depends on the asset.
Okay.
Like I mentioned with the Lake Chelan deal, the value add strategy, where a lot of new investors get it wrong, is they think the value add play always has to be a big reno. It's not the case. Like for the Lake Chelan deal that we bought from the bridge lender, the value add strategy for us is really just stabilizing the deal. That's all it was, right? We bought it so good that the value add was just stabilizing the NOI and then refining out. Now, we'll always do a little enhancement to the property. Even if it doesn't need much, we'll always put at least a couple $100,000 in the property. So with that one, we did a pickleball court, revamped the pool area, added a couple game rooms, new signage, better lighting, etc., and new marketing photos. Marketing photos always goes a long way. We'll hire models, and we'll do really dope, like vibey drone shots, and like really get good marketing photos. That's huge in hospitality. We bought a deal in San Clemente earlier this year. It had already been renovated in 2020. It was a good location. It just needed better marketing, better operations, better revenue management. So that was our value add play. We've done other projects to where we've put in $60,000 a room in reno. That's interior and exterior renovation, adding amenities. And there's a lot of other levers that we can pull, which I'll get into here, to like really increase the NOI. But to answer your question, you can do as little as $10,000 a door and as much as $80,000 a door, depending on the market and what the property needs, to really, enhance the property and give it that look that we're going for.
Yeah. The other thing I can imagine in boutique hotels is again, a guy who's elite at this, and this is why I'm here, because you are elite at this, is you find other revenue sources. It's not only about, the nightly rent. There's other revenue stores I'm sure you can turn on inside a boutique hotel.
Yes, there's a lot. So one of them that's common is having an amenity fee, early check-in fee, late checkout fee. And so, even if your hotel doesn't have a lot of amenities, you can still add a hot tub, a fire pit. You can include some sort of very basic breakfast, fruit, muffins, coffee, orange juice. You can leverage the housekeeping or on-site staff to go, pick up the breakfasts from like a local bakery or a local donut shop in the morning, set it up for the guests. And now you can check the box that breakfast is included. And now you can charge an amenity fee, anywhere from $20, $25 a night. Well, let's just say it's a small hotel, and let's just say it's 24 rooms, and you charge a $25 a night amenity fee. Maybe you include bike rentals, surfboard rentals, whatever it might be, per room, per night. And let's just say you average a 70% average year-round occupancy, right? Let's just do the math right now. $25 a night, and you have 24 rooms, and you got 365 nights in a year, and you got a 70% year-round occupancy. That gives you an extra $153,000 in revenue.
Right.
Okay. Well, there's a cost to obviously getting breakfast, OJ, coffee, and so let's just cut that in half.
50%.
Let's
Yeah.
just cut that in half.
Makes sense.
You're now increasing the NOI by $76,650.
And then a cap rate
And let's just say that the market cap rate, the average is 8%. Where we invest in California, these are low cap rate markets. Typically, the cap rates are going to be mid fives to like low sixes here. And so let's just say here in California, a 6% cap rate, you're now increasing the value of the property by $1.2 million.
Oh, is that all? Just
Yeah.
with a $25?
Just that simple
I like
move,
it.
right? The other thing that you can implement is early check-in fee, late checkout fee. Very common with hotels, even the big branded hotels, the chains will have this. The truth is a lot of guests want the early check-in. They want the late checkout. Some people might come in for a conference, checkouts at, 11 o'clock in the morning. Their flight out of here is not till 6 o'clock at night. And so they want to pay extra for the convenience to be able to stay till 4 or 5 o'clock. And so they don't mind dropping an extra $50, $100 for that. And so what we've leveraged is AI, and we've implemented what's called an AI employee at every single one of our hotels. And this AI employee acts as a concierge. They all have different names and they all have different personalities based on the market that we're in. So here in San Diego, for our Little Italy hotel, Hotel Zendale, it's a 24-room boutique hotel. Her name is Brooklyn. She's AI. Brooklyn's a concierge. She has her own personality. She will text the guests via blue iMessage. She will use emojis. She will stagger her response time. She will even make intentional spelling errors so it looks like a real human, right? And Brooklyn will text the guest prior to check-in, will help them with check-in instructions. She will help them with restaurant accommodations, what to go eat at the local restaurants,
Wow.
daytime activities such as hiking trails, going out on the water if they want to go out on a yacht charter or a rental. They want to go rent bikes. She'll help them with daytime activities. She will even bring in additional revenue. Early check-in fees, late checkout fees. If the guests need their rooms cleaned, they need new towels, they go through Brooklyn. And it's very effective. It's very effective. We first tested it at one hotel, and it's the one right here in San Diego. And yeah, I popped in one weekend while we were testing it, and I just, talking to the guests and seeing how their stay was. And a lot of them were like, man, our entire weekend was great because of Brooklyn. She set up all these great restaurants, made all these great suggestions of what to eat at these restaurants, even like rooftop lounges to go hang out at. And they had no idea that it was AI. And these are folks that are in their, 20s, 30s, and 40s.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, this is really effective.
This is real.
Let's go all in on it. And so we've since then implemented an AI employee at every single one of our hotels. And it's great. She'll warm the guests up, and it's a nice touch. I mean, even when you go to Vegas and stay at like MGM, you'll have like a real concierge. But it's a nice touch, and it feels personal. And in the day of like text and modern technology, it's easy to just text someone versus having to call a front desk and get transferred to all these different people. You just shoot a text, hey, I'm looking for this, or what's a good Italian restaurant in the local area, and they'll give you a couple of restaurants. Like that's speed and convenience in today's era. And so it's been a game changer. And that's why I say, I'm like, if you're not using AI today and you're a real estate investor, business owner, you're not using AI, it's hard. It's going to be very hard to compete with those of us that are. But more importantly, it's like, think about these mom and pop owners that we're buying these hotels from. We're buying them at discounts because these mom and pop owners have refused to adapt to technology. And now they're, washing out of the industry. And so I always say, the real estate investor, you have to use AI. If you're not using it, learn the game. And it doesn't mean you have to become an expert, but go find a consultant that can come in and implement it for you. And better yet, you can, like, when we hire consultants, we'll bring them in for like 2 months, 3 months, and then I'll have my team learn those skills. And then after 3 months' time, we can now take on that. We don't have to use a consultant, right? And so the other way we're using AI is we use a revenue management platform that that does anywhere from 100 to 200 AI pricing adjustments every 24-hour period based on supply and demand, similar to how the airlines do it. And so it could be a Wednesday night at 2 o'clock in the morning. And if there just randomly happens to be 3 or 4 people searching for a hotel room in X market, then it's going to push the pricing up. And vice versa, if there's a period of time where there's no one searching and we're coming up on, the booking date and the booking window, it will push the pricing down to incur that booking. And so a couple ways we're using AI today.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So in our conversation on your channel, we talked about why California. It sounds like California is a buy box for you. Do you like investing in California?
I love investing in California. I know a lot of people, poo-poo California, but ironically, I find that those people have never lived in California, and they've never invested in California.
Right.
There's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of regulation here, but you can use that to your advantage. For one, it keeps the supply down. The timeline to build new construction out here can take 3 years, 4 years, sometimes even 5 years time, right? And so the risk of new supply is lowered. But also, if you look at the landscape of California, not a lot of land to build on, right? Especially here in San Diego, they call it an island. To the north, you got Camp Pendleton. To the west, you got the Pacific Ocean. To the south, you got the Mexican border. To the east, you got the mountain ranges. And a lot of the major markets in California, you could say the same thing. It's very landlocked. And, you can't replace two things: beaches and good weather, right? We don't have humidity in California. They call it a Mediterranean climate. Beaches, warm weather. I mean, there's often in December, sometimes it's 70 degrees in December, 80 degrees in December. It's Christmas, hanging out on the beach. And so, you can't replace that. And so as more people migrate out of the cold weather cities, Boston, Chicago, Cleveland, and come to areas like California, it's just going to push pricing upwards. But, with the bureaucracy, we can take advantage of that, but also think about the Airbnb regs. California, especially coastal California, has very tight Airbnb regs. And that really bodes well for hotel investors.
I love that. Well, I'm curious, again, you are a lead at this game, but I'm curious where you spend your time, right? You're operating, you're growing, you're mentoring, but where does Rich spend his time in this empire?
Yeah. So what I did earlier this year, and this is a hack that anyone listening to this could implement today, is I took my entire week, Monday through Friday, all my deliverables, and I front loaded it to Monday and Tuesday. And so Monday morning, coming to the office, we do a level 10 team meeting every Monday morning at 8 a.m. And then from there, we jump right into all my one-on-ones with my leadership team. And I end the day on Monday with a one-on-one with my business coach. And then Monday night, I really use that to prep for Tuesday. And Tuesday, I do all my deliverables. So I'll shoot anywhere from 2 to 3 podcast episodes Tuesday morning. And then I'll jump right into my hotel community call, which is early afternoon. I lead that group call with all my members every Tuesday afternoon. And then I jump into my 7-figure creator community call. I lead that afterwards, late afternoon Tuesdays. And then if I do a webinar, we do a lot of webinars as lead magnets. By the way, webinars are like the number one lead magnet out there, regardless of what it is you're selling, whatever your product is. I believe it's the number one lead magnet out there. And I'll do that typically at 6 p.m. So tonight I'm hosting a webinar at 6 p.m. tonight. And so I'll get done. Sometimes Tuesdays are long. I'm in here for 12 hours. I'll get out of here at like 7:30, sometimes 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night. But I will get to Tuesday night and the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nothing on my calendar. It doesn't mean that I'm not working. I'm always working, but it allows me to work on the business and not in the business, right? And so this simple shift has really 10x my output this year.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So when you look at, acquisition, operation, disposition, what is your thing in this big scheme that you're building?
Yeah. And real quick, just to circle back on what you're asking, like how I spend my time. That's my week. That's my work week. But we have the hospitality brand. So it's managing the leadership team. It's managing the on-site renovations that are happening.
For sure.
It's managing, having a good pulse of what's going on with the revenue management, having a good pulse at what's going on at all the properties. And then, obviously managing the media. The media is the number one arm of the business. I tell the team, I'm like, without the media, the podcast, social, and all that, we don't have a business because it drives all of our leads. And that's why I say the personal brand in 2025 and beyond is the most valuable thing that you could build for yourself and something that can never be taken away.
Yeah, it's an unlock for people. Again, you just don't know what comes of it. Not only raising capital, which you have funds for, but even deal flow, people bring you things. You're just shocking what comes.
Dude, it makes everything easier. It
Makes
makes everything
everything
easier. It's
easier.
not just the ability to raise private capital. It's the ability to hire and retain good quality people. It's the ability to have access to better deal flow. I can't count how many deals that we've been able to acquire because of our network and the relationships that we've been able to build through the brand. It's access to key member. I think this is probably the most important like part of having the brand and the podcast is it puts you in the room with people that you otherwise would not have access to. I mean, look, you and I are having this conversation because of the podcast, right? And you've had yours for 10 years now. Look what it's done for you. It makes everything easier. Having access to key people, and you never know. Like some of the people, is like Dan Martell, Grant Cardone, Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street, Ryan Garcia, one of the top boxers in the world, Ryan Pineda, Pace Morby. These are just some of the names, right, that I've been able to build genuine relationships with. And you never know what these relationships will lead to, right? But all these folks that I've had on the podcast, they're now my friends, and they'll pick up my phone if I call them, right? And that's a valuable asset to have. But again, it's because of the platform, right? And so it builds trust at scale. It's social capital, and it really is the cheat code. And every single one of my guests, I will pick up a couple of good nuggets from. And I'll be like, damn, that's really good. I'm going to implement that into my own life, implement that into my own business. And, that compounded over, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years time is a big cheat code. And that's why I say the personal brand is everything, the media. So manage the media, all the hospitality stuff. We have a couple online communities, but, this game is all about saying no. I always say starting is about saying yes. Growing is about saying no. And so you have to say no to bigger and bigger opportunities as you grow. You have to stay focused. And so with where I'm at now, like capacity wise, like everything wraps around, everything's fully integrated. And so, even our online community is hotel investing specific. And so it forces me to become better at hotel investing. It forces me to bring on all these guest speakers in the hotel space. And that makes me better as well, makes the members better. And so everything kind of wraps around. But I also know like I am at the point where I don't take on new stuff. I don't take on new stuff. I don't take on new opportunities. If it's a new opportunity, it's going to be a new hotel that we acquire. It's something that's already aligned and fits into what we're already doing. But, people try to like bring me random stuff all the time. They want me to partner with them on self-storage deals and multifamily deals. And they wanted me to start businesses with them. Like I get all these opportunities all the time. And I'm just like, no, I'm good, man. Like my plate's full and I'm focused on what I'm doing,
Yeah, power and no. I love that. Well, let's kind of wrap this up. I like to keep these short and sweet. You are, again, I'm here because you are an expert or elite at boutique hotels. Where are you going on this journey? What can people watch? Because again, you are documenting everything, which I appreciate. But where are you going on this journey with boutique hotels? What's the next couple of years?
I'm going to put 10 boutique hotels between now and the end of 2026 into Fund 1.
Nice.
We're acquiring number 6 in Tulum right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. After that, I will start Fund 2. I want to build $1 billion thing with Summers Capital.
I love that.
And so, I'm very grateful for, the growth thus far. And the journey has had a lot of ups and downs. But overall, there's been a lot of growth thus far. But I'm just lucky and grateful to be wrapped around with so many amazing people, from our investors, our lenders, the team, everyone that's trusted us and, been a part of the overall vision and the overall picture. So big picture, I'm going to build a big thing, and we're just getting warmed up, my man. This is just the beginning. I always say at 33, I thought I peaked, but at 40, it's just the beginning. So if you're listening to this right now and you feel stuck, you don't feel like you're growing, you feel like there might be something else for you, and you're thinking about making a change, the opportunity is out there for you. I always say this is the best time to be alive. At a time where, we got 40 million baby boomers retiring in the next 7 years. 4.8 billion people use social media. The ability to access information has never been easier with, podcasts and YouTube channels out there and social media. And so if you are looking for that next thing, I encourage you to, identify what that might be, get in the right rooms, and educate yourself. And most importantly, take action and have fun with it.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about how you got connected with Built. My audience knows that a couple months ago I was scammed out of some money.
Dude, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I actually pinged them offline. They texted me back, so I'm gonna call them and let them know that that's not cool.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's not on them at all. They had nothing to do with it. But I love their product. I love wearing it. I'm just curious how you got connected, because you are an authentic built an influencer. So how'd that
Yeah, I
all happen?
appreciate that, man. So like, I was already rocking their stuff, and a couple years back, they DM me on Instagram, and they said, "Hey, like we see you rocking our stuff on the podcast. We'd love to send you
Some
a care
merch.
package."
Yeah,
So they sent me a care package here to the office, and then started just building that relationship, and then they brought me on as a brand ambassador.
that's awesome.
And
So it does happen. I
yeah,
was scammed by a bad person, but it does happen.
yeah. Unfortunately, there's people like that. I mean, I got people that are impersonating me on Facebook and Instagram, and unfortunately, they go and message my followers, and they try to scam them for weird stuff, crypto, and
Yeah.
all this stuff that I don't even do.
Be careful, guys. Be
I
careful.
don't do crypto,
Yeah.
and so if you get a message from someone that says they're me,
It's
it's
not
not me.
you.
But this is everyone. Anyone that like you said, Bill. I didn't know they're doing this with the big brands too,
Yeah, they
but
are. They are now.
it's yeah, it's a sad thing to say. But I love Bill. Their threads are so good, and their ownership team is great. They're up in Orange County, great people. They're sponsoring a Tulum event happening next week, and they're great people and good vibes. And I definitely I'm a fan of everything they're doing.
Awesome. And then lastly, where can people find you?
Yeah, everything's online on Instagram at Rich_Summers. And if you want to check out the podcast, I just had my man on, and that's on all platforms, the Rich Summers Report, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff.
Thank you very much, man. Again, thanks for having me. Thanks for being a gracious host. Great team. Take care. See you next time.